bring him in right now. He is the World Series manager of the Chicago Cubs. No one will ever forget those times, the golden era of baseball. I got to sit down and have dinner with him a couple of years ago after a Bears preseason game. And we first met him, but way back in 2015 with his fungo bat, and he was raving about Javi before Javi even came to the majors.
That's true.
Let's bring in Joe Maddon on the Yingling guest hotline on Waddle and Silvy. Joe, how are you?
I am wonderful, gentlemen. Thank you for having me on today. Sounds like you guys are doing great.
Thank you. Joe, what is life like for you right now?
Well, like today is a perfect example. Got up about 5:30, read the paper, made my coffee, did some chores, fed the plants, and then I went out and practiced on the golf course I'm looking at right now. It's so wet that nobody was playing it. So I just went out, just hit drivers and irons and all that kind of stuff. I did my podcast of the day with Tommy Verducci. I did another one yesterday, or today at noon. I had one at noon too. So it's podcast, interviews, golf, plants, and having a pretty good time.
I was going to say, it's a pretty good schedule, Joe. Are you sure you want to get back into this game on a full-time basis?
You know what? It's like it's like being a teenager again. You're except you have a couple bucks. Before, when you're a teenager, you didn't have any money, so you couldn't really enjoy it. But I'm loving all of this. Would I get back? I would. There's that little hole sometimes that you like to have it build up a little bit. Something like you're really constructive, where you're potentially making a difference, something that really stirs you. Although this does stir me, don't get me wrong, but something professionally that would stir you, I'm not opposed to that. But again, I don't know who that is and when that's going to be.
Joe, I was romanticizing about the golden era of Cubs baseball a few weeks ago and thinking about how, man, it's been 10 years ago already, that initial press conference that you had at the Cubby Bear, because they were working on Wrigley Field when you bought a drink for everybody. What a way to go in. And then, like, 10 years ago right now, how you guys started, like you guys would get 5 games over and were finding your way. Then you hit the gas. What do you remember most about 10 years ago right about now when your brain goes there?
Oh, well, you're right. The Cubby Bear, that initial press conference, sitting there, and they set I don't know if it was intentional or not, but where I was sitting, I could see through a window, and I could see the marquee in front of Wrigley with my name on it. And that's pretty special. That's a unique moment, and that really smacked me. Then after that, going into the offices, which were, I guess, across the street kind of, and meeting all the people that worked there, that was really important to me. I'm really much into that. The secretaries and everybody else that work behind the scenes. That was really interesting for me also, and I really enjoyed that. And then I got to walk down to Sluggers, and who's there but Minnie Minoso? So he and I, because I knew him from the White Sox days. So like my first day there was really interesting. It's just, you have to understand, you guys are there all the time. This was really new to me coming into Chicago, especially the Cubs. It's kind of it's a turn back the clock kind of a thing. It's as it should be. The ballpark, everything around it, the people themselves, the interaction, the humor, everything about that area. I absolutely loved it. So that was my first impression. God, it was so strong, and it permeated the rest of my time there. And I still think about it because I miss that neighborhood. I miss that ballpark. I miss being there.
Joe, fast forward to today, and do you still actively stay in touch, or at the very least follow the core guys from that World Series team? And for example, like when you see Javi and his resurgence, how does it make you feel?
Great. I know Iapoce is the first base coach. I was going to text him this morning to tell Javi, like, those 2 bombs yesterday. It looks like he cut down his swing a little bit. That's what I thought I'm saying, but I don't want to put anything in anybody's heads. But he doesn't have that big John Daly start in the backswing it looked like. So I like that part about it. I like when he's going to right center. I've been seeing that a lot. So, yes, I'm very, very pleased. So I'm going to text Iapoce and have him relay it to Baez. And I'm watching Wilson. Wilson's on a tear. I hate the fact that Wilson's not appreciated as a catcher anymore, quite frankly. And he was beat up by analytics with all this stuff. And then when he got there, following Molina was not an easy task because I'm a big Wilson guy. He and I got along great, and he was a big part of our ascension there, too. KB, on the other hand, KB still hurt. I talked to Buddy Black yesterday. Just wanted to talk to him after he was let go by the Rockies. And, we're talking about KB, and it's just too bad he's the body seems to be breaking down on him. Rizzo, I've not talked to Riz lately. Did a couple of months ago, texted with him. I don't even know if he wants to get back in it right now. It's hard when you sit out this long and then somebody makes a phone call to be able to just pick it up and get back in there. Although if they did, it would be a team in the race, which would be kind of exciting for him. So, Johnny Lester almost got to go play golf. David Ross and I have been playing golf a little bit down in Florida. He came down 2 or 3 times. He played in St. Pete. So, yeah, I guess I'm keeping the toe dipped in there. The coaches text me a lot, guys that were our coaches, and I stay in touch with them, Hyder in Baltimore. So, yeah, I guess I'm staying in contact.
Yeah. Joe, you mentioned how you talked to Bud Black, and you know this business about how this goes. David Ross, do you believe that he got a raw deal here as a manager?
A raw deal. It was. I don't like to use the word raw deal. I just thought it was like too soon. Is that a raw deal that he would be let go as quickly as he was, unceremoniously let go? I know counsel was available. I get that, but yeah, I mean, David. Under the circumstances that he got the job following me, I think he's had great expectations that it was going to be a longer run than that. It's not unlike my situation when I came in there and they let go the previous manager that was there before me. So there's some similarities. I don't even know if that Jed thought about that. I don't know. But, yeah, I thought it was too quick, quite frankly. David's confided with me. I'm not going to share what David said to me, but it was kind of quick. I understand what they did in a sense because I was a part of a similar circumstance. But, yes, I thought it was too quick with David.
We're talking to Joe Maddon. It's Waddle and Silvy on ESPN 1000. You mentioned about the young guys and about Javi and Wilson Contreras. My brain goes back to all of their debuts, and it seemed under you, Wilson got called up. He'd hit a home run right away. Kyle Schwarber got called up. He hit a home run right away. Bryant was set down early because of the timing, and then he comes up, and he didn't get off to a real quick start immediately, but then, of course, he won Rookie of the Year. What is your secret? Waddle and I look at you, and we look at you as the culture setter. Like, that's not by coincidence, in our opinion, no matter how good they are, that all these guys seem to flourish as young rookies and then contribute big time. What is your secret for bringing that out of young guys?
Well, honestly, I think the biggest thing that I'm able to do those things is because I started out as a minor league grunt. I was a rookie ball manager. I was a scout, a professional scout. I scouted Arizona, Colorado, Utah, New Mexico for 3 straight years. That was my territory. And then I was permitted to scout before I went to spring training when I was a full-time manager. And when you manage rookie ball players, you manage A-ball players, AA players, guys like that running instructionally, being the head of the coordinator of instruction, you see everything. You see guys before they become a guy. And I know what a guy looks like before he becomes a guy. So when I'm able to work with these different guys, I have a lot of experience that I can draw comps with. It's not just something you put on a machine, Rapsodo, whatever, TrackMan, all of a sudden you look at all these numbers. It's an eyeball thing. It's a conversation. It's the way the guy breathes, the way the guy moves, the way the guy processes the day, his mental skills, where's he at with all that. And there's a positive approach to all this. And you have to read the room, read every guy every day. And that's what I learned how to do as a young instructor with the Angels from 1981 till I got to the big leagues in 94. That's something that nobody talks about anymore with the young managers and young coaches, that especially managers that just jump into the seat without having had a really strong minor league career as an instructor, manager, coach, whatever. That's what they're missing. And quite frankly, that's it. I think that's what separated me. And there's others out there. Mike Schilt right now, it's with the Padres. Schilt has that kind of a background. Bochy, I saw Bochy manage in Riverside when I was roving when Palm Springs was playing Riverside back in whatever year that was. All these guys went through that process. That process is not there anymore. Thus, a lot of young managers right now, they don't have that cachet built up where they know what to say, how to do it, whatever, in the moment, because they just don't have that experience.
Joe, you also welcome the use of analytics probably a lot sooner than a lot of guys did. But does the game rely too much on it? Has it been ruined in some ways by the overuse of analytics?
Absolutely. Analytics are great. It's another word for statistics. That's what we utilize. And if I sent you my information that I started to put together in the mid '90s, and it's on my Google Drive, all the scouting reports I put together, the spray charts, whatever, how I broke teams down before we played them. It was just me. I was the baseball ops department for the Angels. Very similar to what goes on now. The difference, greater volumes of information, no question. But you have to understand, coaches, managers can hold on to a lot of stuff. Players really, you just want to give them nuggets at the most. So when it comes down to, you talk about analytics. If I'm going to acquire my next shortstop, give me reams and reams of information for the offseason, and I will look through it. If you want me to tell me where to put my shortstop, absolutely. I want reams and reams because that doesn't vary very often. Where to pitch somebody does not vary very often. So these are like constants that I want a lot of analytical information. Hitters don't benefit at all. But the misconception is that when the game begins that analytics are controlling this game somehow. Not true. Not true at all. So it's Shohei Ohtani needed nothing. How much analytical information did we get the hobby back then, and how much is he getting right now? I mean, I could go through a litany of different pitchers. Johnny Lester, he didn't want a whole bunch of that stuff. They wanted what was ever coming from Mike Borzello on the bench. That's what our pitchers wanted. Borzi was outstanding. Borzi is like a analytical department of his own. Nobody even talks about that. He was a big part of our success back then, from catchers to the pitchers and the pregame meetings. See, it all gets skewed sometimes. I love analytics. I love numbers. I want the info. I want all that stuff. But after you've seen a team with your own eyeballs based on your experience, I needed less of that information because once you've seen it, you get it, you know it, you understand it, you know what you think. But if you haven't seen some players, if some guys rush into the league, that's when I want more information. But once the eyeball test occurs, and you play these guys all the time, you need less of that and more execution, fundamentals, playing hard, playing the game of baseball properly. Then you need numbers.
Joe, what has been hurt most by everything you were just saying? For instance, I complain to Waddle all the time about the starting pitching, whether it's third time through. And you can't measure when a guy is going well that day, but the analytics says, well, don't let him face the lineup a third time through. There are just certain things you can't measure that they seem to be trying to measure, and it drives me crazy. So I guess what I'm trying to say to you is what drives me most crazy is the lack of starting pitching going longer into the games. What, in your mind, has been hurt most?
You're probably right. That's probably number one. I think base running is trying to make a comeback right now. Pitching, absolutely, you're right. The third time through the batting order, I mean, for me, on a nightly basis, you have to gauge whether a guy's got it going on that night or not. Where's the pitch number at that particular point in the game? Did he struggle early? Did he settle down? Is he really cruising right now? You could go on and on about that. So just and they're going to throw numbers at you that look at the third time through this guy gets lit up all the time, or the average is that the third time through the batting order the pitcher normally gets lit up in general terms. I'm not into that at all. I want to see what the guy's doing, because the farther you get a starter into the game, the stronger your bullpen becomes. That's the other thing. They're just wearing bullpen guys up. Bullpen guys get worn out constantly. You start. It's very difficult. If you just work a 5-inning game from your starter, you got to plug in 4 innings worth of relief pitching on a nightly basis. That's not easy to do. I mean, you're going to you can't even say you're making a mistake. I don't believe in that. Somebody's going to have a bad night, and with that bad night, all of a sudden, all this beautiful planning is going to go awry. So yes, pitching is probably the third time through really bothers me. Within the lineups, the constantly platoon advantage phrase. Listen, Earl Weaver was doing that for years. He just called it, right and left hand. He didn't call it a platoon advantage. I mean, yes, there's times you do want to pinch it, and if you're short in an area, yes, I like when I got 2 players playing one position. But if you really, and it really comes down to lefties hitting left-handed pitching, giving a kid an opportunity, and that goes all the way back to the minor leagues when you give him an opportunity to hit lefties in the minor leagues and try to become better. Look what Schwarber's doing right now. And then the other thing is base running. They had to change the rules to permit guys to attempt to start stealing bases. That's silly to me. I don't like that. I don't like the rule change. I don't like the third time over, throwing over. I don't like any of that. I think it's wrong. The only rule change that was necessary was the pace of the game. Had they just done that, everything else is superfluous. Didn't matter. And the other one I do like, though, I have to admit, is the PitchCom, where they call the pitches. Yeah. And that's anything that it's not about the length of the game. It never has been. It's been about the pace of the game. Pitch clock, that little pitch calling device, superstars. Runner on second base, 3-batter minimum, all that stuff's not necessary.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's a question I always like to ask guys like yourself with a great resume in their respective sport, whether or not the game's in good shape and it's in a good place. It sounds like there are certain things about the game that still leave you a bit unsettled at this point. Overall, is the game in a good spot, Joe?
It is and it isn't. I mean, there's if you look at there's a couple teams that are dominating and there's other teams that are just awful. And it just doesn't seem to me as though that the teams that are not so good, that they're making the necessary adjustments to try to become good. I just think that too many teams wait till the middle of the season or even the trade deadline to try to determine whether they're going to be good enough or not to make the playoffs, and then they might do something. But I don't hear very few teams declaring in spring training that our goal is to go to the playoffs, get to the World Series, and win it. I don't hear that very often. That's not part of the conversation. Hardly anymore, and I don't really like that. So there's the rebuild. I don't hate that word too, man. The rebuild, I'm not into it. What you're doing is you're really doing a disservice to your fan bases, and overall, I mean, back in the day, I remember in the 70s, there was a phrase that was utilized a lot: "What's in the best interest of the game?" And the commissioner would act on what was in the best interest of the game or not. And you don't really see that implemented at all anymore. And there's a lot of things that aren't done in the best interest of the game, whether you call it tanking or rebuild or whatever. I just think that's a disservice to the community that the ball club is situated in. So all these things bother me. Yes, they do bother me, but I love the game. I do watch occasionally. I was watching the Cubbies and the other night versus the Mets. Good stuff. There's a lot of that, but then you go from that into you watch the Marlins playing like Pittsburgh right now. Who really wants to watch that game? Not even the hometowns want to watch that. So those are the things I'd rather see, like really focus on making sure that this rebuild stuff doesn't happen. If you're an owner of a ball club, make sure you put in the proper resources to make that team competitive and declare we're trying to win this year as opposed to trying to play 500. I mean, or even getting close to 500 is considered an accomplishment. That stuff bothers me, yes.
Yeah. Joe Maddon joining us, Waddle and Silvy on ESPN 1000. You mentioned watching this current team. I would assume you would love to manage a guy like PCA.
He's nice. He's very nice. I like him. I like he's so athletic. I didn't realize he had that kind of pop. He's got big pop. And you know what? If you really break down his swing, it's not a surprise. He's got great balance. He's got great bat speed. He's very strong in the batter's box. And then you watch him in the outfield and everything else he does. This guy's very interesting. He's a throwback player. I like that a lot. Actually, I know there's the other guy, Kyle Tucker. For me, Kyle Tucker is Soto. Same conversation. I mean, I don't even put Soto above Tucker. I think they're in the same breath all the time. So there's some players that are pretty dynamic, obviously, and they're starting to get some pitching. I know they got some injuries concerns there, too. Swanson's picking it up. I love Nico. Nico Horner's a baseball player. In and out, upside down. That man's a baseball player. I like him a lot. So there's a lot to like about that club. I think they play with a lot of grit. And, I think they have that thing going on. And that they're slightly charismatic, and they're going to keep building on it, and I like that.
Joe, where do you think PCA fits best in that lineup?
You know what? I haven't looked at it closely enough. Where's he been hitting? I don't even know.
He did a lot of good work down in the bottom half of the lineup. I think he's had most of his at-bats at 7, but they've recently put him at leadoff.
With Hap out.
Hap out, yes.
Okay. Well, his tools play. I mean, everything he does plays at the top of the order. The part that they probably don't like is the fact that he's a swing guy. He just swings all the time. And, when you get hot, that looks really good. And when you're not so hot, then it doesn't look so good. Analytically, teams don't like guys that just are swingers and don't work a count and look for a walk sometimes, or they'll look for a walk, accept your walk. So I would say that that's probably what's going to hold him back the most is as a team wanting to put him at the top of the batting order. If he learns to be more discerning in the strike zone, accept his walks, that kind of thing, that will push him more to the top.
Yeah.
Joe Maddon joining us, Waddle and Silvy on ESPN 1000. Growing up here in Chicago, Joe, I always said that guy who is the manager of the Cubs, he will have a job forever. And you went, and like I said, you arrived a year early as a team in 15, and it was absolutely awesome, knocking out the Cardinals. And then the next year, you won the World Series with that target on your back, like you always talked about. The next year in 17, you still got to the NLCS, 3 straight years of going to the NLCS. When you look back on it, are you even surprised yourself that it only lasted 5 years?
Absolutely. No question. That first year, nobody expected any of that. And if you replay that tape and look at the roster and how it evolved during the course of the year, we got a lot of overachieving. We got some great role players on that team that permitted us. We won a lot of games. And you're in, third place in your division because Pittsburgh even won more than you did. And then eventually we worked our way through and just listen, that Mets pitching staff was dynamic. Murph just tore us up, whatever, But that was a tremendous role that we got on that year, and then to put us in that position. And then we go ahead and win it in 16. 17 was outstanding, too. I mean, one of the best series I've ever been involved in was the Washington Nationals series before we went to play the Dodgers in the NLDS. That series there was, you talk about a heavyweight fight. That was a beautiful thing. We win that game. Wade pitches 2+ innings. The thing that really hurt us a lot, we fly in Los Angeles that after that game late at night, and we have a medical emergency on the plane. We have to land in Albuquerque, and that stuck us on that runway till 10 o'clock the next morning. And then we get to L.A., and then we have to play the Dodgers the next day in that twilight kind of stuff. And they beat us up, and we didn't have Wade for a couple of days. Our bullpen was really not as strong as it could be because we had to beat the Nationals to get there. So, and that whole year, I mean, right down to the very end, how we fought, man. We really fought. I love that. The next year, losing to the Rockies, that was a shame. But everybody was critical of that. But nobody gives the Brewers credit. We won 95 or 96 games. They just got hot as hell at the end, and they beat us. So what? That happens. And then the next year, it was just everything was totally different. I think they were already planning on blowing it up at that point, and so there was just a different vibe in the clubhouse from the front office downstairs. That whole year was just different. Absolutely different. And then, of course, at the end of that, everything was blown up. So I really wanted to stay there, no question. That would have been a great place. Personally, I would have stayed there for a while, and I think a lot of the players would have too. So that was not our call, but I'm not going to lie. I'm just telling you the truth. Yes, I loved it there that much, and I do miss the place.
We were talking the other day with the NBA lottery about like lucky moments in Chicago sports. Mm-hmm. The Bulls once won the lottery and they got Derrick Rose with a 1.7% chance, on and on and on. And we brought up the rain delay, the 17-minute rain delay. Do you believe that you guys win Game 7 if there's no rain delay?
I can't tell you that for sure. That was reality. I just thought that it really helped us a lot. I mean, that brief meeting that Jason had downstairs was dynamic, even to the point where a lot of the Indians commented that all they did was sit by their locker and kind of stewed on it before they went back out and started the game up, whereas that Jason brings them all inside. I go check the weather report with Jed, come back outside, and I'm telling you what, when our guys walked out, you thought it was like the first inning. I mean, their energy level was that high, and let's go. And they did. They came out and they tore it up. Schwartz, what he did again was incredible. Almore tagging up. Of course, Zobrist again. And part of that inning that nobody gives enough credit to is Miggy Montero, his base hit the left. And furthermore, when he picked up Chappie in the night and he made him to other pitches than just his fastball, that was huge. So all these things conspired, but I think the reboot, that 17-minute reboot, was very helpful.
Joe, indulge me for a moment, if you will. I grew up in Cincinnati in 1967 was my birth date, so the 75-76 Big Red Machine was basically my childhood. Pete Rose was a large part of that as a young baseball fan. As we know, yesterday the commissioner removed Pete, Shoeless, Joe Jackson, and other deceased players from the permanently ineligible list. Just your thoughts on Pete and where he belongs with regard to the Hall of Fame and how he is remembered as a great player in this sport.
I think he served his time. He did his time, and it's just unfortunate that it has to be posthumously that he's going to be recognized. what he went through. I think if he had been more contrite early on, it might have changed things a little bit. But nevertheless, he was embarrassed by it all, I'm sure. He did his thing his way. It's the way Pete was. I mean, I got to know him a little bit at the very end there. He was actually at the Chicago Card Show, and I had a great conversation with him. But nobody played the game harder than he did. Obviously, to care about winning, give me other guys, probably Ty Cobb, you can mention others, but nobody cared about winning. Nobody played the game harder. Nobody was more of a team player. How many positions did he play? And on top of that, he's a switch hitter. Everything about him indicated that the guy was a winner. Yes, I thought he did his time. How many ever years from the moment he was suspended till he passed away. And I thought that if they could have done that even 4, 5, 6 years before he had passed, I thought that still would have served as time served and let's move on.
Yeah.
And then permit him to do what is right, because the guy was that good. Okay, he did some bad things. A lot of people have done bad things in the world today, a lot worse than he's done, and they get out without any kind of severity, whereas he is a baseball man. He's a baseball player, bet on the game. Can't do that, absolutely. He did his time, let him go, and I really hope that the veterans group's going to have to vote on him. I hope they get in on the first vote.
Yep.
Joe, before we let you go, what are you drinking these days? What kind of wine?
I got this thing called Six Oaks the other day. It's it's Alexander Valley, I think, Sonoma County. Outstanding. It was on sale in Vivino, so I picked it up. I always I read different things, and I look at the way they break down. And when it says leathery or earthy and oaky, vanilla, that kind of stuff, I jump on it. So I just jumped on this Six Oaks. It's on the bottle in Italian also, I believe, but Six Oaks. Give it a go. It's outstanding.
I'll look for that. That's awesome. Joe, we always say this whenever we catch up because, we didn't get a chance to talk to you a ton when you were the manager. But thank you for everything you did for Chicago and for Cubs fans all over. We love keeping in touch, and we appreciate you taking some time for us today.
Thanks, Joe.
Oh, thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on. Love the place, and hope to see you guys down the road. Be well.
You got it. There he is, Joe Maddon.